Good morning, traders. Scott G with the Simple Trading Life, and we are ready for another YouTube live stream today. Every Tuesday and Friday at 9:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we go over the market and look at Forex and many different names, and we take your questions and comments and look at stocks, equities, ETFs, currency pairs, anything that you want to look at. So we're glad to have you here, and we're going to be getting started here in just a brief moment or two. Okay, bringing up the chart of ES, and we will get going live here in just a second. Just give me a second, guys. I want to make sure I pull up the channel. Just give me a second, guys. I want to make sure I pull up the channel. That way I can see your comments and anything that anyone might want to go over. So let's go ahead and get started. I see we have a couple of people in here already, and I'm sure we'll have more joining us. Here we go. We have ES, and as you can see, this purple dashed line right here is opening price. We move that. I do an opening price level for the overnight session. Then we go ahead and we move that for regular trading hours. You have different traders trading overnight and during regular trading hours. So on most names, equities, stocks, we only have one opening price level each day, and that's at regular trading hours. But for the market, for ES, the E-mini, we put one in at 9:30. So as you can see, so far, we had a little spike up to the 20 simple moving average right there. And then we worked our way back down, and then currently price is kind of in between these two levels at 24.4750 and 24.06, and that should say 25. Let me adjust that. There we go. So we're going to see what they're going to do with the market today. Obviously last night we went limit up right here, and that's why you see this range that was created, because when you go limit up, you cannot go any higher, but you can go lower. So you saw price would move away and move back up, move away, move back up, so on and so forth. And then this morning they sold it off right down here to the trend line, back up, back down, back up, and currently we're going lower. Good morning, Todd Father. Nice to have you joining us. Anybody who's on already, of course, use the comments. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications bell. That way you'll be alerted anytime that we go live or put out new content. Currently, just taking a quick look here at ES before we start moving on, giving time for folks to join us. And again, as you can see, since we opened up here, currently price is trading below opening price level. We have some supply way up here at 26.56. It's actually 26. Yes, that's where it's at. I'm sorry, 26.56. We also have a resistance level at 26.5850. We would probably not get there as of right now, even if price started to skyrocket up. We would hit some limit ups before we got there. And then moving to the downside, we have this huge bottoming tail over here that came down to 23.6025. We also have a support level at 23.51. So if price would start to flush, we're looking for it to get under this wick right here. Okay, and then it would need to get through this wick right here to go lower. So that's where we're at currently. And let's start taking a look at a few different things. Let's go to Roku. Okay, so Roku was one of the few names that was gapping down this morning. There was a lot of names that were gapping up. Not huge, not like some of the other days where names were gapping down or gapping up huge when we were doing the live streams. But there were a lot of names gapping up this morning. So we'll be going through different names, but let's look at Roku first, since it was one of the few that was gapping down. So as you can see, it gapped down to right here. Started down and has worked back up, but because it's in between support and resistance, it's got plenty of room to move in either direction. We have demand down here. I have an alert set. We have supply way up here. So if for any reason it would start to flush down and it would hit demand, our alert would go off. We would look at the chart, and at that point we would expect it to see some sort of a bounce. Okay, so that could be a scalping opportunity. That could be a reversal where it starts back up. The first area that it would probably catch some resistance would be right here at 64.95, or right here at this basing level where it dropped, it based, and it dropped. And then it would continue on higher, potentially. And then you have some overhead supply up here that would probably act as some pretty stiff resistance. So this is Roku. Welcome. I see we have a couple more folks joining us. We're just going through some various names. We have the market. I'll keep flipping back to the market. It's obviously selling off as of right now, as you can see. This purple dashed line is where we opened. Okay, we're currently below 2406.25, moving back down towards the trend line. Those of you who are in my room, the Simple Trading Life community, in the premium service, we do a live stream, live screen share every Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday, the days that we're not on YouTube. And they know I've left this trend line on here just because in the bigger picture, if I scroll out, in the bigger picture, you can see it just shows us that we just continue to move down even when we briefly get above it, below it, above it, we're still moving down. We're still in a downtrend. So hopefully everybody can see that. No reason to have any sort of a long side bias unless we start making higher highs and higher lows and working our way back up. We do have overhead supply up here, as we talked about just before. So once price does eventually make it back up there, whenever that is, could be days from now, could be weeks from now, whatever. Whenever it gets back up there, we would expect it to take a bounce back down at that time. So let's just scroll back in. Okay, so you see where price is going. We'll see what it does when it gets to the trend line. Here at 5:30 in the morning, you can see what it did when it got to the trend line. It took a bounce. It formed a hammer candle here. This would have made a beautiful scalping opportunity. We talked about this a little bit in our room. One of our members pointed it out that this hammer here would have made for a great scalping opportunity. You would have entered one tick above here, and you probably would have had a conservative price target up here, right around this level where this base was created, this ranging structure level. And we easily made that. And we already figured it out. That was good for about 48 points in a very short amount of time. And then as you can see, as it got up into the structure level, then it sold back off. All right, so that's why we say you want to be conservative in these market conditions in this high volatility environment. If I drew that in for you, let me do that just so you can see it better. I like visuals. I like people to be able to see what we're talking about. All right, there we go. My tool wasn't working as well as it should have been. Let me make that gray. Those of you who join me over and over again, you know that gray for me is either a structure level or a range, or in this case, it's sort of both. Okay, so you see that? So that was overnight, created by the limit up condition. It could not go higher overnight because when it got here, that was limit up, which means trading was halted unless it went down. It couldn't go up from there. It could only go down. So it kept going down and then back up and down and back up, down. And then finally, it broke out of this range to the downside, down to the trend line, caught a bounce, came back down, and now we're working our way back down. So you see right now we're at the trend line. So we're going to see this price respect the trend line like it did here this morning, or does it continue down? We've got this wick right here that we would need to get below. And then we also have a support level at 23.51. So we're just kind of taking our time and watching ES here. We're a little bit less than 5 minutes from this first 30-minute candle expiring, closing, and we'll see what where it closes at. So again, as the folks in my room would know, and again, it's the simpletradinglife.com for those of you who may be new. Whenever we see, we've seen this strong move to the upside. Okay, we just talked about why it ranged overnight, but there was a lot of people that thought this morning, because of this, we were going to probably continue back up. But as you can see, they're selling it off. So whenever they think, when I'm talking about I'm talking about big money, institutions and banks and what have you, whenever they think they've got you leaning one way or the other, and when I say you, I mean retail traders, they're typically going to do the opposite. So even though a lot of people thought because of this strong move last night that we would go up, in fact, I saw some people and some fairly highly respected people, and I don't think that they were trying to mislead anybody, but some very highly respected analysts and trading people were saying, hey, we may go limit up, right off the opening bell. We may immediately go limit up. Well, as you can see, we're doing exactly the opposite. So in that case, what's happening, it spiked up to the 20 right here. You can see that the 20 was respected. This is the 20 simple moving average. This is the 200 simple moving average. For those of you who don't know, you may be new here. The reason I have those on my chart is they're two of the most highly watched moving averages in the entire world. Okay, the 20, the 50, the 100, and the 200, but specifically the 20 for a shorter term simple moving average and the 200 for a longer term. The 200 is the most watched simple moving average in all of investing and trading. Okay, it is the most watched. But the four are the 20, the 50, the 100, and the 200. I like the 20 for short term. I like the 200 for long term. And as you can see, it was very highly respected right there. We've sold off. You can also see the trend line, just like this morning, so far is acting as support. We'll see if that's going to continue or not. We have just a little over 2 minutes on this opening candle. We'll come right back to it. Let's go just again, take a quick look and see what Roku is doing. Roku is one we're kind of keeping our eye on this morning because it was one of the only names that was gapping down this morning. So as you can see right now, it's just a spinning top. For those of you who may be new to trading, a spinning top when it comes to candlesticks is a candle of indecision. Same thing with a doji. And what that means is, especially where it's at right now, that means that the next candle could go either direction. Right? Buyers and sellers are in a struggle here. Okay, that's why you have like equal wick to the top, equal wick to the bottom, small body. All right. So if it would end this way, that's just a candle of indecision. The next candle could go either direction, and you would be looking for it to take out the high or the low of this candle. And we know we have demand down here. We know we have a support level right here. Same thing, we have a resistance level right up here. Okay, so Roku, there's really nothing to do on it right now. Okay, really nothing to do. The reason it's on our watch list is because it was gapping down. And we want to see, is it going to come down here and get into demand? And if it would, we would expect to see some sort of a bounce out of there. That could be a potential scalp trade. So we will we'll just wait and see what happens. Over here on our advancers, you'll notice that we're at 935, which is bearish. Okay, which is bearish, but we'll see, does that number rise or does it fall? That tells us a lot. So let's go back to ES. The candle's about to close. Okay, we're still right here at the trend line. And it just closed, okay? So here's our opening 30-minute candle, right? Very bearish, large, wide-ranging red candle. In fact, let's go ahead and check it. You always want to know what's going on, overall context. The high was 24.68. The low was 23.71.25. So obviously, by doing some simple math, we know that this range on this opening candle was almost $100. Almost $100 on this opening candle. Okay, goes right along with this high volatility environment that we're in right now. Okay, the new candle opening, trying to go lower. Obviously, we got 29.5 minutes to go on this candle. For those of you who don't know, I typically watch and trade off of a 30-minute chart, but we use all the higher time frames, including the monthly, the weekly, and the daily, for what we call the bigger picture. The bigger picture. When we want to make a trade, unless it's just a very short scalp, we want to know what the bigger picture is telling us, right? So let's just, we'll do that on Roku. Let me, I already have an alert. Never mind. 23.51, I have an alert if we get down there. So let's go back to Roku, since that's one of our stocks on our watch list today. Okay, so if we were looking to trade Roku, which we might potentially be, we would go through this process of seeing where it's at currently, right? Opening candle was a spinning top, candle of indecision. So far we're red on the second candle, but you'd be looking to take out either the high or the low. But we would go to the monthly chart, just showing you what we do in the Simple Trading Life community. Okay, here's your monthly. Huge red candle. Look at this. Huge red candle. All right, let's go to the weekly. All right, on the weekly, big red candle, right? Big red candle on the weekly. Let's go to the daily. And what we're looking for here is primarily, what did it do yesterday? Okay, big red candle yesterday, breaking through a support level and then gapping down. So if we go back to the 30-minute, what does that tell us? All right, just from some very simple analysis of looking at higher time frames, everything is red, right? Everything. Monthly, weekly, daily. Currently today, we're gapped down. We went spinning top and we're currently red here. So unless we see price action tell us something differently, we would mostly be looking for some sort of downside move. Now that being said, we know we have demand right here. So if price continues to move lower, gets into demand, then we would expect to see some sort of a bounce. All right, there's your demand zone. When you see my charts, green is demand, pink is supply. So vice versa, if for some reason price was way up here and it got into supply, we would expect to see a bounce back down, at least temporarily, if not a sustained move. Okay, so that just gives you guys a little bit of an idea of what we do when we're potentially thinking about making a trade. You also want to always look to the left. Take current price, you look to the left. Is there anything I need to be concerned about? Okay, on the 30-minute, there's not. Let's go to the 4-hour. Okay, is there anything on the 4-hour? Come over here. And we know this is current price right there. that black number. So you look here and you'll see that right now we're just in the middle of some congestion when we go back to the left on the 4 hour. All right, so that makes sense. Then if we get down here, this could be a potential support level, and if we break that, then we get into demand. Let's see if, there we go. And there's where the demand was created. You see this? So demand is created when price leaves a level in a very strong manner. Typically, we like to see drop, base, rally to create demand. But in this case, it was a rally base rally. You can create demand with a rally base rally. And you can see right here how we mark it. Okay. And then price shot away up to here. So we knew at one time there was very aggressive buyers, and that's what created this demand zone. So again, this would be the very first time, if we make it all the way back, let me scroll over here. If we make it all the way back to demand, it'll be the very first time it was touched since it was created. That increases the probability of a bounce. So that's why we would be looking for that. It's one of the main reasons it's on our watch list this morning, besides the fact that it gapped down. Okay, currently, still not outside of this opening candle, slightly green, and we'll just keep an eye on it. If you guys have any questions about any specific names, type it in the comments, and I'd be more than happy to look at it, analyze it. If it's not something that I watch all the time, you would get to see me draw the support and resistance lines on it. We would also look for any supply or demand zones that would stick out. Okay, and those are the ones that you definitely want to mark. When you see me looking down, it's because I have your comments down here on my phone. Always just checking to see if somebody has a comment or a question. But when you're creating supply or demand, you want to mark the levels that really stand out to you. Okay, so big gap downs obviously are going to create supply, because a gap shows that it left the level extremely aggressively. Right? The next best thing to a gap is exactly what we had on the 4 hour. Let's go back and take a look at it real quick. The next best thing to a gap, and this, we actually had a gap and a wide-ranging candle. All right, but let's just say we had no gap here, and this was leaving, excuse me, I got to come back over here. Sorry, guys. Yes, so right here. So we had a little gap and we had a wide-ranging candle. But let's just say that the wide-ranging candle started way down here. That's still good, all right? Next best thing to a gap. Here we have a gap and we had a wide-ranging candle. So again, that's how we know that this is an area of demand. All right, let's go back. Let's see what ES is doing. Hey there, Al. Okay, so Al, I'll answer your question in 1 second, and that's a great question. That is a great question. So Al is asking about a put credit spread, and I'm gonna address that here in 1 second. And he is thinking along the right track. All right, so let me just take a quick look here, and then we're going to go back and we'll answer his question. All right, so you can see, look at this. See how the trend line, and this trend line comes back quite a ways, and I actually could extend it up to here. Right here's where it actually started. All right, so this trend line, not only was it respected from underneath for quite a while, even when it popped up above, it's come back down to it. All right, popped up above, come back down to it. Popped up above, has come back down to it. So that's why I've left it on my chart, right? It's actually still being respected. And if you can pay attention right here, you can see, came down this morning. This was at 5:30 in the morning. We got a nice bounce off of there, formed a hammer, gave us a great scalping opportunity. And then so far this morning, this was opening candle for regular trading hours, straight down to the trend line. The trend line held, and now we're getting a bounce off of the trend line. Now, do I typically trade off of trend lines? No, I don't. Not saying that you can't. I'm not saying that somebody else can't. If it fits into your trading strategy, your specific rules. But I do like to see if a trend line is being respected, and right now it is. Right? It was respected here. It was respected here. It's been respected here. So we're going to keep that trend line on there until it's not valid anymore. All right? We're going to keep that on there until it's not valid anymore. Now, let me add, let's see here. Okay, so Al is asking, and we'll come back to this here in just a second, on Roku. This is a great question, and I don't know how many of you in here ever trade credit spreads. Okay, credit spreads are high probability trades that offer predefined risk, but they also severely cap your profits. That's because you have such a high probability of winning. You get to pick. You get to pick your percentages. So what Al is asking is, would I consider doing a put credit spread? Now, put credit spread is actually a bullish credit spread. So what that means is you are selling a put and then buying a put one strike or two strikes below that as protection. And you're saying, in essence, price will not go below there. Price will stay above there. All right, so if we bought put credit spreads down in here, let me show you how that looks. If I went to the trade tab, went to March 20th, all right, and let's see here. Give me 1 second. I got to go back. I'm sorry, guys, because I have to see where we were at. We would need to be below 51.50, basically. All right, so back to the trade tab. Well, because they only go in $5 increments, right? Because they only go in $5 increments, and it's really weird they're not giving us anything below here. So for what I would want to do, I wouldn't be able to do it. Not on this week's expiration. Let's check another expiration. Let's go out. Here we go. Okay, so you would sell this strike right here. You would buy this strike right here. And if I go to confirm and send, what it's going to do is it's going to show, in fact, let me edit it because you're probably not going to buy. Whoops, I'm sorry. Sorry, guys. Control. There we go. You're probably not going to buy 10 of them at once. Let's just go down to 1. Whoop. Come over here, and it's going to tell you for $412 of risk, you could make $88. Now, that doesn't sound great on the surface, okay, but it's because it's so highly probable. It's so highly probable. If I go back, it is telling you, right here, probability out of the money is basically your winning percentage. Okay, so it's telling you you're going to win this trade about 72 to 80% of the time. That's how good your odds are. The further you go out, okay, so if I sold this one and then bought this one, the odds are probably not going to be as good, right? So basically, if I went down to 1, this is showing 10, you would be risking $450 to make 50, okay? But now you've increased your odds. You've increased your odds to 80 to 86%. And you can manage the trade as well, which increases your odds. So there's a lot of people out there that play credit spreads. There's some people, that's all they play. They just play credit spreads, but you've got to have, if you're going to play the higher reward, or excuse me, the higher probability trades, which are going to be 75% and greater, that means you're going to risk more to make less, but it's high probability. So I have seen some studies where professional credit spread traders, they'll take a trade that is, say, a 75 to 80% probability out of the money, which is saying that's what you want. You want it to be out of the money because you're selling premium. Okay, that's why it's called a credit spread. You're collecting that credit, right? When you buy, you're buying premium. So if you buy a put or you buy a call, you're buying premium. Somebody's selling that to you. So now you're on the other side of the trade. I'm trying not to get too deep with folks that don't understand what credit spreads are. All right, so again, 75 to 80% probability out of the money, that's your winning percentage. You're going to win 75 to 80% of the time. But professional credit spread traders, they know how to manage the trades. They'll typically take those trades and they'll win about 90 to 92% of the time. And you can manage it just like you've bought an equity or you'd bought puts or calls. You can exit early. You can mitigate your risk, right? You can exit early with profit. So if your maximum profit, I'm going to make this easy. If your maximum profit is $100, you could set it to where when you hit 50 or you hit $75, you can just exit the trade. And that's what a lot of the professional credit spread traders do. They take profits early. Most of them around 50 to 60%. Some will go as high as 75 or 80%. Then they just exit the trade and they're moving on to the next one. So anyway, hey Justin, nice to have you. And Al, you're absolutely correct. If you're taking it below the demand zone, you're increasing your odds. You're increasing your odds, even if the odds say 75 to 80%, because you're below a demand zone, you're actually increasing your odds, right? So that's why it's important to know where you're at. Okay, we're going to look at a bunch of different names here in just a minute. See, we have a couple new people joining us. Okay, again, here we are. We came down, we've respected and bounced off of the trend line. Now, if we're going to turn back down, where is that likely to occur? Where is it likely to occur? Doesn't mean that it will. Okay, I'll give you an idea. It would be likely to occur right around there. Let me change this just so you can get a visual. All right. Doesn't mean that we will, but it would be likely to happen right up in this area here if we're going to turn back down. Okay, and why do I say that? Well, we sold off here. We just said that this is almost $100 range. So would you consider that leaving an area in a strong manner? Of course, right? So we know, at least at open this morning, there's a lot of strong sellers in this area. Okay, a lot of strong sellers in this area. So I just drew this in here. This will show you. We'll come back and look at it later. This would be a likely area where price could then turn around and move back to the downside. All right. All right, so let's just look at a few names at random, like we always do. All right, here's Apple. Here is Apple. Now, as you can see, Apple right here, I should already have this off of here. Sorry, guys. Apple came down in demand. This was, what, a day or two ago on the 16th. So yesterday, came into demand, and what did it do? Boom, big bounce. So you see what demand typically does. Right? So if you're somebody who trades Apple, that's why it's important to know where supply and demand is. So if you've seen this, even though that was a big gap down, right? Even though that was a big gap down, they opened it right in demand. Now, if they would have opened it below demand, that's a different story. If they opened it below demand, it could have just kept on going. But they opened it right in demand, and we caught this huge bounce out of demand. Then it started to sell off. Okay? So was the overall, let me ask you a question. I'll make it easy for you. It's rhetorical. Was the overall sentiment on Apple negative? Absolutely, right? We went from here all the way down to here in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 days, right? So you can see we were steadily moving down. But what happened? What happened when we hit demand? What happened when we hit demand, right? Big bounce. Because we knew that in a demand zone, there's going to be aggressive buyers. So even though it's temporary, right, lasted about 2 hours, we got this big bounce, and it went from 241.87, got as high as 259, $18 bounce on Apple. $18 right out of demand, and then it sold off. Now, this zone shouldn't be here anymore, so let me remove it. Okay, because now it's been tested and then retested, and as you can see, it actually has broken below. Okay, once it's been tested, I usually just cut it off right there. And then I know, for me, I know visually that was our test. We got our bounce, and the next time it comes back, could it hold again? It could. But once it's been tested, it's weaker. And then we kind of tested it again, came up here, tested it again, came up here, and then we broke below. So that's why I've removed it now. So hopefully everybody understands that. But you can see as negative as Apple has been, when we hit that demand zone, what did we do? Big bounce. So that would have made for a great scalp opportunity for somebody. Okay, got a couple more people with us. Welcome. Let's look at AMD. All right, so AMD, same thing. In fact, let me see if I can, I'll show you what I normally do if I can. Yeah, here we go. Activate. So this should look like this. Now we'll scroll back in. So I want to show you how this works. All right, so here's AMD. We created demand. That was actually the first touch. That was the first touch, and look how high we went away. Then the second bounce, we even got it. So you can get a second bounce, but you don't typically want to count on that, right? You don't typically want to count on that. Look how well it was respected the first time. Barely penetrated, and it went from 39.60 all the way up to 43.91. And again, on AMD, that's a big move, right? So look at that. Out of demand, up to here, back down in demand, and it caught a second bounce back up to here, and now we're below. Okay, now we're below. If we get a candle close down here, well, this technically closed below. So what I typically do, actually in real time, if I was trading AMD, I would have done this. Okay, I would have done that. That tells me this is no longer fresh, but I can still look to the left, see where it was, and I know then when we come back down here, could we catch another bounce? Sure, and we did. All right, but if this candle would have closed below there, then I would have known this becomes resistance, and then you're likely to go lower. All right, okay, so that was AMD. Al, you said, do I have a good demand zone on Apple? Well, let's look. Let's go back and look, right? Okay, so here's where we're at currently. We're going to probably have to scroll out. I know we are. So let's go to a 4-hour first. All right. Here's current price. This black number right there. So we know that we're looking for demand below 243. All right. Current price is right here. Current price is right there. All right, there is the demand that we've already been through or into. Okay, so this has been tested. So then we want to go lower. That's not really a great area. And why is it not great? Because we didn't get a big, strong move away like we had up here. Okay, this is structure though. We came up, came over. So this level right here may hold 233.67. That's something to keep in mind, Al. 233.67. All right. Better, but still, I mean, we do have a gap in here. And we came up, we came back down, and then we went higher. This could act as a demand zone here. Let's keep going and just see. All right, right here, we have a nice gap, move away, down, and then up. Take another look. Okay, so probably the next closest areas are going to be like right here. So right in here, going across, and you're going to be looking at, what number is that? Basically 227.14 down to 224.26. And then I would use the wick right here, the wick, as another area. So that would be 218.53 down to 215.13 and draw it across. Okay, those would be the next two areas. Not fantastic. You'd like to see these initial candles either be the gap itself or be a little bit bigger. But this isn't bad. That's not a bad, and it is structure as well. You see we came up, came back down, right? Up, back down, and then we left and made a fairly strong move. So Al, those would probably be the next two areas here, and then this wick going across. You're quite welcome. You're quite welcome. All right, let's just go back and take a peek and see what ES is doing, and we'll continue looking at some other names. Let me get back to the 30-minute. All right, so still, again, here's our action so far today. Opened here, went up, rejected the 20, back down, caught support at the trend line, back up, and so far we're respecting this area that I showed you. Let me get in a little bit closer. All right, just so you can see, so far we're respecting this area. So does everybody see that? Remember, this is opening price level, this purple dashed line. We went up, caught resistance right here at the 20 simple moving average. We rejected all the way back down. This was almost $100. It's a big move down. Okay, then we caught support at the trend line, and now we have moved our way back up to this area here that I have marked for you. Okay, and we know, how do we know that there are aggressive sellers here? Because that's the only way we could have pushed down like this. That's the only way that you create a candle like that on market open. Okay, so that's why we've marked this area. Doesn't mean that if buyers are strong enough, they can't push back up through here. All we're saying is that it could be likely that this is an area that they might catch some resistance. And let's say they're fairly strong, but not extremely strong. They could bounce like to here and then try to get back up through opening price level. Or if they're weak, okay, it doesn't look like they're weak, right? But if they're weak, they could get rejected here and then price could continue back down. All right, So we'll keep looking at this area. We have less than a minute. Got about 45 seconds to go. So we'll just stay right here for a second. And we're going to see where they end this candle. Okay, buyers are trying to be super aggressive here. They're trying to counter this move. Okay, so this candle already, 39 down to 65. So that's 35 and 40. Okay, that's about a $75 candle countering this almost $100 candle. Right? Okay, so let's just see. We got a few more people just joined us. Welcome to everybody. Okay, if you're new here, again, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications bell, and you'll get notified. Okay, so here's where the candle closed. All right, here's our opening of our third candle of the day. Again, we're on the 30-minute. And now we're going to see, are they able to get back up through opening price level and out of this zone right here? Or are they going to exhaust and start to turn back around? Right? Let me do this. I'm going to put an alert right up above this zone. And then that way we'll know if they break through the zone. That way we can continue to look at other things. And then vice versa. Let me just put something down here and we'll know if they start reversing. Always use alerts. Always use alerts. Alerts are your friend. And it would help if I made this alert at or below. There we go. Okay, so now we can continue looking at other things. Anybody who's new, just joining us, if there's something you want me to look at, or if you have a question about anything, if you have a question about how we trade or what you see on the screen, just type it in the comments. I have my phone set up here. That's why I'm always looking down, is to see if any new comments have come in or questions, and I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. All right, so here we are on Amazon. Okay, Amazon gapped down and has pushed back up. And I don't have any levels down here. Let me refresh the levels on Amazon. You guys will see how I do this. Go to a 4-hour. Okay, come over here, switch to a line chart. Always draw your levels in on a line chart. Okay, switch to your price level tool. And then you start at current price and you work your way back, and you want to mark any sharp pivot or bigger move. Okay, and when you see this here, you don't need to mark both of these. You want to mark the most current one. Okay, this one's already marked. This one I'm going to remove. This one I'm going to remove. All right, this one's already marked. And as you can see, it's been respected a couple different times. Gonna move this one. I'm going to adjust it. I haven't updated Amazon in several days, so that's why these are a little bit out of whack. Let me adjust this. Just move it up there. Okay, this one I want to remove. I'm going to remove that zone because we broke through it. All right, we came up through and came down and broke through it, so we want to remove it. All right, this level, I'm going to leave this one here only because over here we came up, pivoted down, and then caught a strong bounce off of it. Same thing here, I'm leaving this because we came down in a strong fashion and bounced back up. And now we want to put some levels in below 1688. So let's come back over this way. We're going to put one here. We're going to put one here. And get my candle, my cursor to work. All right. Definitely want to put one here. Notice I'm ignoring the smaller stuff. Okay, we want to mark the bigger moves. The bigger moves. And actually, I think I made a mistake here. Let me come back over here. Yeah, we want to be below 1700. So I added some I shouldn't have. I take that back. I'm sorry, guys. Let me get these out of here. I was adding them where I shouldn't have been adding them. Okay, so we want to be below 1700. So just keep scrolling back. Now we're below, right? Now we're below. Okay, so we want to mark this. Big move. You guys see this? And it's a sharp pivot. But we're ignoring the small stuff. Okay, I would mark this right here because it led to this big move. And I'm going to mark this. I'm going to mark this. Okay, we just had an alert on ES, so I'm gonna go back to ES and then we'll come back to Amazon. So give me 1 second because we had an alert go off. Switch back to the 30-minute, and then we'll come back to Amazon. I have to get over and switch back to my candles. Here we go. All right, so we're moving back down. You guys see this? All right, what did we just show you? And you're seeing it play out in real time. All right, again, opening price action. Down, catches support, back up into this zone where we said we know there are aggressive sellers. And what's occurring right now? It's turning price back down. Now, how far will it go down? We don't know yet, right? Okay, will it just come down to this area and bounce back up, which would be bullish in nature? Will it continue to fade and come all the way back to the trend line or even below, which would be very bearish in nature, right? Or does this candle, and we're still early in this candle, does this candle eventually go up and break through? Does it end as a resting candle? Okay, so in theory, if it ended just the way it is now, as a spinning top, that would actually be a bullish signal, because it would be a bullish move followed by a resting candle. Then we would look to see if the top of this candle would get taken out. And if it would, we would expect a similar move in magnitude to this candle, right? Okay, that's all in theory right now because we got a long way to go on this candle. We've got 24 minutes. I'm just saying if it ended the way it was. Okay, so I'm gonna set another alert here. That way we can keep looking at other things, but we'll know what's going on here. All right, so now if it takes out this side or if it gets up here and takes this out, we'll be alerted. Okay, so let's go back to Amazon. Now we've put our levels in, right? Okay, now we've got our levels in because I hadn't been on Amazon in a while. And you see this is actually a trend line. Let me make it like, I'll make it like red or something just so it stands out. All right, that's actually a trend line. Again, you see how it's being respected? All right, that's why I didn't take it off. All right, so where are we at overall on Amazon? Let's just in theory say we might be interested in trading Amazon. This is what we would do. Here's the monthly, we're red. Okay, there's that trend line I was talking about. And you see right now we're holding it. Look at this. Here, 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 and so far here, we're respecting this trend line. Okay, so we're going to see if that continues. We don't know. It may start to lose the trend line and move back down. But we are red on the monthly. We are green on the weekly. You see this? Good morning, Sonny. Good morning. I see your comment there. Okay, we're green on the weekly, so we're already in conflict, right? We're red on the monthly, we're green on the weekly. We're going to go to the daily now, and we're going to be looking at yesterday. Okay, green but a shooting star, right? Green but a shooting star, but we gapped up, we flushed down here to our support level, and then straight back up. See that? Okay. So this was yesterday, this is today, and we're currently just below the trend line. Now, let's go to the 4 hour. And I'm just, guys, I'm just doing this on Amazon so you can see we're not trading Amazon. And here we go. ES, I'll come back. ES is moving again. That's why our alert went off. Let's see what it's doing. Go back to the 30-minute. And it went slightly lower again. That's why it went off. Okay. So when we went back to look at Amazon, right, we had come down, then we had went back up into the zone, and then we've come down and made it even a little lower than it was before. All right, so now I'll move my alert down a little bit more. And if it goes off again, okay, again, we have one up here, we have one down here. It just keeps reminding us of what's going on with the price action. All right, so back to Amazon. All right, so if we were looking at trading Amazon, now we know that there's some conflict. Okay, we have some conflict. We don't have confluence on the monthly, the weekly, and the daily. All right, we know where we're at in our support and resistance levels. We know we're also right underneath of a trend line. Okay, we had a gap down here. A gap down here. Okay, so this little cluster right through here is going to give us, let me just draw it across so you'll see. Okay. This little cluster right here is going to give us, if it gets up there, all right, I'm going to make this gray. Okay, and the only reason I'm doing that is it's sort of a little structure. This is not a tremendous area of supply, but it does have a nice gap away. So if price got back up there, it should act as some resistance. So I'm just going to make that gray. You know what? We'll just leave it pink. We'll leave it pink. All right. Now, to the downside, we can see this level right here has been respected a lot. Okay, so to the downside, 1688.09 is where we would need to break through to see price go lower. All right, we have this sort of range right in through here. Okay, but that's a pretty big range. That's $100. Right, so you could catch a nice move. So let's just say it comes up here and rejects. If you get something, let's say a shooting star, let's say that this ends up the way it is, then we're looking that it potentially could continue up, but we know we could have some resistance up here, right? So you're looking at all your possible scenarios. But let's just say this candle comes up, touches, and works its way back down. Okay, then you would look to take out the bottom of that candle and then possibly play it back to your support area. All right, just, trying to walk you through the kind of things that we look at. Sonny, we did Apple earlier. I'll go back over it for you real quick. Okay, Sonny is somebody that's in our community. All right, so here's where we're at on Apple. And what we did is we just broke through. There was a demand zone over here. That's what gave us this big bounce. Then we sold off below it. We kind of took it out. I should have just left it in there so you could see. Normally I just end it right there, but there was demand. We came down into it. We got the big bounce. All right, trying to push lower, coming back up. We're probably making structure. And how do we know that we're probably just making structure? Because look at what we've been doing. Lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. You kind of had an equal move here. Okay. Then we went higher high, higher low, higher high, but then reversed and came all the way back down and started making lower lows and lower highs again. The overall trend is to the downside, And we looked already, I think it was on the 4-hour chart, we looked for potential areas of demand below. And I will show you. Okay, hang on one second. Guys, I'll be right back because we're going to go to USD JPY in the Forex. We just had an alert go off. Okay, we are moving into a potential area of supply here. Let me go to the 30-minute. All right, you'll see over here, we caught support at the 200. We came out of supply. This is our first test, excuse me. We created supply. Came down here, bounced at the 200, and have now been working our way back up, created some demand, created supply, bounced back through here. Now this is our first touch of this level right here. Let me zoom in. Okay, so now we're going to see, are the sellers strong, buyers strong enough to push all the way up through here? Okay, if they are, we know we also have supply up here. But this is the first touch. Okay, so we had a rally, not much of a base, right? One candle. But it's got this nice topping tail on it, which shows us that there was strong sellers there, pushed it all the way back down. So rally, short base, and then drop. And now this is our first test. So what we're going to do here is we're going to look and see, all right, are they able to push through, or are we going to reject off? And if we do, okay, this wick here could give us some support. But if we got all the way back through it, we would look to come down to this demand area, which has not been tested yet. Okay, created some demand right there that has not been tested. This is new up here. Okay, I might even take a short here myself. Let me see. Let's do, what are we on here? USD JPY. Let me find it. USD JPY. Okay, so if I go short, right, if I go short, my stop will be above here. So if price broke all the way through there, it would stop me out. And then my first target would be down into this wick. And my second target would be all the way back down here to the demand zone. All right, I'm going to watch it for a second. I have it pulled up on my screen on my phone. And I may look to go short here if I don't see some big spike up. So just give me a second. All right, and we'll come back. We'll come back and see what we do here. And so down in here, I would want an alert. And I would say watch price in this area for possible bounce or reversal. Could be take profit zone. All right, so if that alert goes off for me, then I would know to take a look there. I've already had, I just entered, just so you guys know, I am going to try to take this short. I have a stop placed above here. I trade Forex on forex.com. All right, we're on Thinkorswim. That's where I do my charting. So I have a stop above this level. I have an alert set right here that if we get down here, I'm going to watch price action. I may take profit if we get down here, Or if it just continues below this wick, then I would be looking down in here to take profit, right? Much stronger move. Okay, so Sonny, let me get back to you. Give me 1 second here, guys. Let me get my phone where it needs to be. Well, that's interesting. Give me a second here. Why is it not showing? We were on USD, JPY. All right, give me a second, guys. I thought I entered the trade, and for some reason it didn't take. I must not have hit something the way I was supposed to. Place. Do this. All right, now it's showing me. Now it's showing that I have it. Okay. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. I looked down and I thought I had entered the USD JPY, and for whatever reason, it wasn't showing me in the trade. So I obviously didn't hit something I was supposed to. Okay. So back to the questions. Okay, Apple and CMG. So let's go back to Apple again real quick. And before we go there, let's go to ES just to see where we're at. Okay. Okay, ES still in this zone, right? We got about a little bit less than 9 minutes. So we're going to see where we end up. I mean, right now, just right now, we don't know yet. Right now, it looks bullish. Like we may end up in a doji or a resting candle, but we'll see. Okay, we still got time. All right, so back to Apple. Back to the 4 hour, excuse me. Now I wanted to show Sunny. Sunny wasn't on when we went over this earlier. Okay, so if we look over here, we know where current price is. All right, so where are we likely to see some potential demand? It could be down in this area here, okay, where we've seen this move away, or it could be down in this area where we moved away up here and a gap, or right here, this wick all the way across, because you can see big gap. Okay, gaps are your best, strongest move away from an area. So I would just use this wick all the way across. And we gave the numbers out earlier, but let me give them to you, Sonny. 218.53 down to 215.13 would be this wick in a zone across. And then this could potentially be another area right here. And it would be from here, which is 227 down to 224.26 and across. Okay, so that gives you that. Let's take a look at CMG. Sonny wants to look at CMG. Chipotle. Chipotle is not something I trade a lot. You can see it's flushing here on the 4 hour. Let's go to the 30-minute. Okay, you'll see what it looks like on the 30-minute. All right, on the 30-minute, what did we just do? We just created some supply up here. All right, I'll draw that in really quick just so everybody can see it. So you're going to go from the bottom of the body, which is where we opened, 560.75, and you're going to go all the way to the top, And you would go actually to the top of this candle right here, which is 575.68. That's close enough. And then you go to the bottom of this, which was open at 560.75, and then you're going to draw it across. 560, and I'll have to go back in and adjust this. 560.75, change it to pink. So now if price would happen to reverse, right, we know that we're going to have an area there that should cause a bounce if price would reverse and get back up into here. And again, how do we know? Because look at that strong move away. Right? This right here tells us there's aggressive sellers right up here. Plus we have a gap above. We have a gap above as well. Let's look down to the downside. Okay, we have a level down here at 454.92. Let's go in. Might have to go to a higher time frame. We will. Let's go to the 4-hour. Scroll across. We know where current price is. Okay, current price is right here at 502. Okay, right here would be another level that we would want to look at. All right, right in here because of this strong move away. And then obviously down here, drop, base, rally. Okay, so this would be an area. I'm not going to draw it in right now, but I'm just going to tell you where it would be. It would be from 390 down to 383.20, and you would draw it straight across. So you would have demand here, and then right in here would be another level I would look at right here. So that would be 454.47 down to 449, and then straight across. So basically this support line, right? Basically this support line down to the bottom of this little doji. Okay, we came up, kind of pulled back a little bit, came up, based right here, even though it's only one candle. Remember, this is a 4-hour chart, so that's 8 30-minute candles in there, okay, because we're on a 4-hour. So you're going to have some right across there. Price is up here, 504.36. So if it keeps falling, Sonny, look at this level right here for a possible bounce, 454.92. And then down here, this would be another demand level across there. Okay? Does that help you out with CMG? Let's go back and look at ES real quick. All right. So let's get back to our 30-minute. All right, we've got less than 3 minutes to go. Let me get in here. We got less than 3 minutes to go. Price is still in this zone, right? Still in this zone. And as of right now, even though we haven't broken out of it, right now, if it was to end this way, okay, that would be a somewhat bullish formation. Okay, now we wouldn't look to do anything unless we took out the top of that wick there, but we're just trying to set ourselves up for probabilities. Vice versa, I mean, we are up at some resistance right now. Okay, we have resistance in this pink zone. We have resistance with opening price. We have resistance with the resistance level at 24.4750. Okay, so if it would all of a sudden reverse on this next candle, you could possibly look to get short underneath the bottom of it. If it continues to go upwards, you would look to get long if it took out the top of this candle. Right? You wouldn't want to just jump in right away. You're welcome, Sonny. I just saw your comments. Anytime, buddy. Okay, Sonny is one of our premium members in the Simple Trading Life community. Again, those of you who may be new and don't know anything about the Simple Trading Life, go to simpletradinglife.com. We have a free chat room and we have a premium room. And all the details are on the website. You can join either one from the website. And we try to help average, everyday traders. There's no egos in there. As you can see, we keep everything really simple. We try to make everything easily understandable for everybody. We're not using any fancy words, or there's not, nobody's trying to sell you on some proprietary complex strategy. Hey, this is the only way you can trade. We don't do that. We don't do that. Our only goal is to help you become consistently profitable, and we just do that through the basics, right? Because the basics are what works. The basics are what every strategy are based on, right? They're just taking these basic things and they're manipulating them. They're calling them different things. They're, trying to make them more difficult than they need to be. Okay, so here we go. We've got 2 seconds left. Okay, here's our candle ended right here. Okay, you see right now, you saw it like flash red for a second. When a candle first opens, those first few seconds, you can almost ignore them. All right, so now what are we looking for? Okay, potentially an upside move if we take out 24, 52, 25. So if we take that out, you could look for an upside move. Okay, your next worry would be this wick here in the 20. Okay, because the 20 acted as resistance earlier. If we would take the top of this out and you would enter as a scalp, you would want to make sure you have a nice tight stop. Remember, we're in an extremely volatile market right now. So you don't want price to all of a sudden reverse and go back against you, because it can move in a hurry. It can move $30, $40, $50 in a few seconds sometimes, right? So you got to be very, very careful. All right, look at this. See this? So far, it's just teasing up here, and now it's like trying to go red. Okay, we still haven't broke out of this zone here. I could extend this. Look at this. Let me bring it across. I'll just bring it across a little bit. We still haven't broke out, right? We haven't got any close up here. All right, so we're still in this area that tells us there's strong sellers that are trying to fight to keep price moving down. We know there's strong buyers, right? Because they pushed it right back up in here and they want to break out. They just haven't been able to do it yet. Okay, we don't know, and that's why we don't assume. That's why I said no matter how this candle ends up, you don't immediately enter. Because if you do, you could put yourself in a really bad position. We call it, you could get yourself trapped, right? You can get yourself trapped one way or the other. So we know if we break this up here and start moving up, even at that, you want to have a nice tight stop just in case. All right? Or vice versa. If it comes down and takes out the low down here, right? If it takes out the low down here, same thing. You'd want to have a nice tight stop because you don't want price to reverse against you. All right, we're just watching. I'll set an alert. Excuse me. What do we need to be? We need 24, 52, 25. 24, 52, 25 is what we need. 24. Yeah, let's leave 50 in there. Okay, we'll leave that in there. So if that alert goes off, and we have our alert down here underneath here, so one way or the other, we'll know. So we can look at some other things now. Let's go back and look at Roku. We haven't looked at it in a little while. I'll bring up Tesla here in a little bit. I know everybody likes to look at Tesla. Okay, here's Roku. Look at this. Right now, it's just kind of in no man's land. In between support and resistance. Okay, not really doing a whole lot. And we have our alert set. Okay, we'd be looking for a bounce if it got down into here. But right now, there's just nothing to do. So you're patient. You're patient. Tesla. Oh, there's our alert on ES. Let's go back to that real quick. Okay, so that means that we're taking out the top of this candle. All right, so if you want to try to scalp, you would enter with a tight stop. I would probably have my stop set right down here at the opening price level. I would not let price go against me too much because it can move in a hurry. Okay, see, look at that. Look how quickly it can move. All right, it didn't get all the way back underneath, but okay, so if you enter here, you're going to want your stop down here, probably right around there. But again, you know your risk tolerance. I'm not trying to tell you where to put your stop. That's up to you. We have the 20 up here, so we know we have resistance, potential resistance, at the top of this wick. And then if we cleared this, we have some room, right? We'd have some room up to the top of these candles. Okay, so the potential is there for a nice scalp. Okay, it's trying to move up. Okay, trying to move up here. Okay, this is our first hurdle right here. We get above that. This is our next hurdle. And if we get above that, we have some room, right? We'd have room up to about 24.9375. Okay, but you see, it's still struggling right here with the 20. Still struggling right there. And we know that it held earlier this morning right here. Okay, we'll watch this for a minute. No, I'm feeling good, Sonny. No worries there. My wife and my family and I were, pretty much self-quarantined here in the house. The only reason we ever go out right now is if we have to run to the store. But that's it. Like, my kids' school is canceled for 3 weeks. They're doing everything online. Obviously, I work from home. I don't have to go anywhere. My wife, she takes care of the kids, so she doesn't have to go anywhere. So we're good. Our church is also, they've halted services. They're doing everything online until they feel it's safe. So we're in the house. We're in the house, and all of us are feeling good. Thankfully, praise to the Lord about that. Okay, trying to break above the 20. All right. So if we get above here and hold, right over here is our next area that we're looking to get above, and that would be 24.6825. Okay, so if we can get above here and hold, this is the next area, 24.6825. Right? So let me 24.6825. I'll just set an alert here. Okay, that'd be 1 tick above this wick. Okay, we're still working here. We get up above it and then it comes back down. We get up above it and it comes back down. Okay, we're trying. We are trying. Now, what can play out here, is if we can break and hold this, it's probably going to then get us up to around the top of these candles. And look what that would do. That would be about the same magnitude of this candle if we could get up here, right? And then this candle would look very similar to this. Okay, we're going to see though. Right now it's not been able to break and hold the 20. Yeah, the whole world is almost on lockdown. I totally agree. Okay, we'll come back to this because we've got our alert set up here. So if it gets up and breaks this wick, we'll know. All right, so let's see here. Let's go. Let's look at Euro JPY. Okay, here's Euro JPY. Look at the fall that it had starting at around 4 a.m. Created some supply up here. Okay, you notice I don't extend these over. Oh, there's our alert on ES, so let's go back. All right, that's why we set them. Okay, there we go. We're breaking above now. Okay, breaking above. That's why the alert went off. Okay, so now if we break above this, okay, we've broke above the 20. If we can break and hold above this wick here, then it's highly likely that we're going to get up to the top of these candles. Okay, why do I say it's highly likely? Because there's nothing here to stop us. There's nothing over here to stop us. Wicks like this, especially taller wicks, those are the things you got to be worried about. All right, so we'll set an alert over here. 23, 24, 93, 75. Okay, let's set this. All right, and then we'll see if we can get up there. Right now we're breaking above here. Remember, what was the play? Okay, the scalp is that you go one tick above this candle. That's your entry. Your stop would have been right around opening price level. Your target is you're trying to get to the top of these candles if you cleared the 20 and you cleared the top of this wick. Okay? So if anywhere along the way price seems to start to stall out and reverse, if you're in the trade, you can lock in profit, right? That's what I do. I don't let it go against me too much. But this was the target that we were talking about. And let me see again, the high over here. Okay, the entry was at 24.52.25. Okay, so we know where the entry was, and we know what the target that we would be shooting for is. Okay, but you got to watch here. Got to watch, right? Just because we broke above it doesn't mean that we can hold it. But we'll see. Okay, we're going to come back. Let me go back, and I was going to show you some things in Forex. Euro JPY. All right, so here was the drop that started at about, what did I say, 4 a.m.? Yep, 4 a.m., came down. So far, we've caught some support down here at 117.29. Does that make sense? Yeah, because we had some demand here that was created by this drop and then rally away. But we've tested it once, but you can see, look at that, barely touched it and then shot away and went all the way back up here. Okay, see that? Back up into supply. Came back down, right? Bounced back up, tested this that was created right here. This box is this candle right here. Hit it, came down. It's getting into this candle, back up, and then flushed away. That's what creates this supply up here. And this, again, you can test it more than once. Sometimes it'll hold. So if I extend this across, give me 1 second here. All right. It held a second time. Here was the first time. Right here, and look at the move. It went all the way up to here. Okay, that's the highest point. So from right here, I'll tell you what it was. From 117.58, it went as high as 119.67. That is one heck of a move. Okay. Then it came back, tested this because it was created right there. Came back down into this candle. Okay, over here and then dropped away. That's what creates this supply. So if we get back up here at some point, we would fully expect to see a bounce back down. And you see the strong move away. That tells us this is going to be a pretty strong area. And this is the second test, second bounce out of this area right here, this demand. Went up here, tested this resistance area, came back down, and this is where we're at currently. All right. So just trying to show you that. Let's look at USD JPY. Look at just a couple of Forex names right now. Okay. So currently, you see, currently we came up in here and we're starting to bounce back down. All right. So we don't know for sure. You know, how low will it go? Like I said, I have an alert set down here. I'm in this trade right now. I have a stop above here. I will not move that stop unless we maybe get about 50% of the way down to my first target. If we get down into this area, I would take and move my stop from up here to just into profitability. And then at that point, I know there's nothing that could go against me. Okay? That's how you manage your trades. All right, here we go. Let's go back to ES. Ladies and gentlemen, look where we just hit. The alert went off, so we hit the top of these candles. There is your scalp. So from here to the top of here was good for $50, I believe. 24.52.25 to 24.93.75, so good for $51.50. And look what it's doing, right? Got right up to the top of here, and now it's pulling back. You should already be out. Okay, if you have a target, actually, you probably, if it was me, I always try to exit maybe $1 or so before I get to my target, because I don't want this to happen. You see right there? Look at that. See how it's bouncing? Okay, but you guys just saw that play out in real time. We've talked you all the way through this price action. Okay, we said unless this ended up red, that this was bullish. Even though we were coming up into this zone, this is bullish. And we said that this candle would be about the same size as that candle. So when it was up here, it was, right? This was a big, wide-ranging green candle. We said this was our target for the scalp. If we took this out, we had to get above here, and we had to get above here. And if we did, we said it would be a pretty easy road right up to there. You should have exited immediately if you were in the scalp. And now you see price bounce back down. Okay, and really, what is that? That's people taking profit, right? You just made $50. So you should be taking profit. Hey there. Let me read high definition. High definition. Nice to have you. Do we trade gold? Yes. Do we trade gold futures? Not as much. We mostly trade the ETFs. So I have 3 that I particularly look at, which is GDX. Okay, look at GDX. Look at that move. Look at this. Look at that move right there. Gold, GLD, which is the ETF for gold. And you're going to notice that it's moving up too. Most of the gold names move in unison. And then JNUG. And JNUG, look at this. Almost a similar pattern to what you saw on GDX. Okay, look at this. See that? See that pattern? And then look at JNUG. Very similar. Okay, now JNUG is obviously a little bit smaller. It's only in the $13 range, but where did it come from? It got all the way down to $3. got down to $3. And now it's all the way back up to $13.20, right? In a day and a half, $13.20. Okay, so those are the ones I keep my eye on. I trade, out of all of those, I trade GDX the most. Okay, that's the gold miners fund, but all gold names typically move in unison. So, you know, if you're looking, I keep those three on there just to always see. Every once in a while, like recently, JNUG was moving a little bit differently than everything else. And what I mean by a little bit differently is it was falling like crazy. So JNUG was like falling when the other names were going down, but they weren't crashing down like JNUG was. All right, now JNUG's trying to recover. But here's GDX. Let's just go through and update the levels. You're new. I want to show you how we do our support and resistance levels. We go to a 4-hour. Then we go to a line chart. All right, and then what we're looking at doing, and you can see, where did it bounce? We already had it drawn in. It bounced right here at a resistance level we already had drawn in. Okay, so we want to remove this one. Let's go over. Okay. And this one I want to adjust. I'm going to bring it down right there. I'm going to remove this one. I haven't been on GDX in a few days. You should update your support and resistance lines every 2 to 3 days. Okay, that one's good. This one's good. Okay, we have some supply up here. So if we get back up here, we would expect to bounce down at that point. This level can be removed. That one's good. And yep, everything else looks good. We switch back to our candles. All right, we switch back to our candles. I'm going to add a level right here. Why? Because it was where we bottomed out. So we want to know that, right? There wouldn't be anything over here to help us create a level because that's our low. All right, so I added a level there. You don't want to add it at the bottom of the wick. You want it to be right under the bottom of this candle. And you can see we've shot back up. So our next area of resistance is going to be up here around 2601. And we have some supply up here. Let's go back to the 30-minute. This is GDX again, the gold miners fund. And as you can see here, working right through this gap, we've already cleared this wick. Okay, I've already cleared this wick right here. And what does that wick show us? That wick shows us that there was strong selling pressure to the downside, and oh, was there ever. Look at that. Okay, this wick was the precursor to this huge move down. All right, and if price would ever reverse and start heading the other way, this bottom wick right here would be a demand zone going across. Okay, I could draw it in right now just so it's there. So you come up here, you get your rectangle. And for this, it's just going to be the wick. All right, let me draw it all the way across here. So if we get back down to it, I need to make that a little bit lower. Sorry, guys. Because you want it to encompass this wick. Okay, so that'll be demand if price ever reverses and starts heading back down. Okay. XAU, USD. Yep. So XAU, USD, I don't believe that, no. For whatever reason, Thinkorswim does not recognize that symbol. It will do XAU, which is just gold and silver, right? And it's got the same, look at this. It's just like GDX. It's the same thing, right? That's what I said. All these gold names typically move in unison. So here's XAU. Again, I'll draw in the lines because we don't have any on this chart. Okay, so we go to the 4-hour. We switch to the line chart. Everybody gets to see how I do this. This typically happens every two or three times every live stream. Okay, you want the big moves or sharp pivots, and you want to ignore the small stuff. Okay, and the most recent moves are the most important. Okay, so I'm going to ignore that, right? But right here, we're going to put in a level. Why? Because it was a big move down. And up here, we're going to put in a level, 113.27. All right, and then let's go back. Is there anything below 70? Yes, so we're going to put some levels in down here. Origin of this big move, right? Now anything below 66? Yes. Right here. Right here. And right here, 61.82. Okay, we've got all our levels drawn in. We switch back to candles. Let's go back to current price. Okay, so now we're on the 4-hour. Let's go back to the 30-minute, which is what I watch and trade off of. Okay. And you're going to see that same exact pattern that GDX had. Right? Same exact pattern. Could potentially run into some resistance right in this area. We always just look to the left. And again, we've already cleared this wick. Okay, now it's come back below it, but we cleared it. So the next area of potential resistance is going to be right up in here. Because how do we know? Because we had the gap down. Right? The gap down means there was a lot of sellers that pushed it down. And look at that big wide-ranging red candle. All right, then you're going to come back up here, up in here, and up in here. There's also going to be some because we had the gap down and away, and we had this strong move away. And let me look at something real quick. Yep, so here you're going to have a level on top of level once it finally gets back up here. So you're going to have some supply here, and you're going to have some supply here. This never came all the way back up into that level, so you're going to have two levels there when price gets back up there. Okay? All right. Awesome. Really, really cool to have you here. Make sure you subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications bell. And then every time we go live, which is every Tuesday and Friday at 9:45 a.m., you'll be notified. And anytime we upload new videos and new content, my tech guy, he just moved into a new house, so he's been a little bit busy the last couple of weeks, but he'll start cranking out some new videos here very shortly. I know he's got footage for at least one, maybe two, that he's working on currently, and we're here on live stream every Tuesday and Friday. Okay, so let's go back and look at ES real quick. Yeah, awesome, right? New house. That's really cool. So I don't know when you joined us. I don't know if you got to see, we called out a scalp trade right here on ES. So taking out the top of this candle, and then we had a target, the top of these candles as a price target. And as you can see, it played out nicely, and that hit for $50. It was a $50 move that happened in, obviously less than a half an hour. So those of you who've been on here, you got to see this play out in real time. Let me see here. We're going to just jump around a little bit. Let me go back. Okay, so USJPY is trying to push higher. Okay, it came here, came down to here. It's pushing back up, but it's still in the supply zone. And I have a stop up here. So if I'm in this trade, if it gets up to about in here, it's going to take me out, which is perfectly fine, right? That's why we use stops. Okay, and we know there's supply above that, up here. Okay, so right now, out of this demand here, we came up, we came down, and now we're pushing higher again. We're into this supply. Okay, I still think it's probably going to turn around and start heading back down, but you can never know for sure with the strength of the buyers. If they're really, really strong, they might be able to push through here, because this is the first test. We came all the way down to here. This is how far we got away from this level, and now this is the first time we're testing it. Okay, so we'll look at that. Let's look at Euro USD just to see what's going on with it. We haven't been there in a while. It's the most popular currency pair in the world. Okay, look at that drop. Look at that drop. Huge, huge drop. Okay. And if I go to the 4 hour, I want to look at it on the 4 hour. Oh, that's what I thought. There we go. So this originated clear up here at this supply level, and look at this drop down with this beautiful structure on the way down. So that started way up here with this supply zone. So strong move up, hit supply, strong move down. And those are the kind of trades you're looking for. This has happened over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days, 7 trading days. And supply up here was around 1.1487. And we are all the way down to 1.0972. So that is, how many pips? Almost 400, right? Or over 400. 400 pips in 7 trading days. So for those of you who like to swing trade or like to play swing trades on Forex, that's a pretty good one, right? 400. I tell my my folks in the Simple Trading Life community, I know a lot of professional Forex traders, and most weeks, and when I say a week, I'm talking about 5 trading days. Their goal is 250 to 500 pips in a week. So 7 trading days, 400 pips, that's not bad. At the end of last week, had some really nice action on the pound dollar, GBP USD. In 2 days, I made 451 pips in 2 days on GBP USD. And it all comes from just knowing your levels, knowing where your supply and demand zones are, and then understanding price action. That's all I trade. Price action, support and resistance, supply and demand. That's all I use. No indicators. Okay, you don't see any indicators on my charts because I don't use them. Okay, let's go back and look at ES. Swing Trader's Dream. There you go. That's right. Okay. Let me switch back to the 30-minute. We'll look at a couple other things here in just a second. Okay, so there we are. Okay, we're back up here now. Okay, we poked up, we pulled back, and that's why I said once you get up here, if that was our target, you exit when you get to your target or slightly before, because you didn't want to experience that right there. Okay, especially if you were playing options, that would have ate up a lot of your profit. Now, if you were just playing a standard contract, you didn't have to worry, right? Well, I shouldn't say you didn't have to worry. You still would have lost some of the profit that you gained, but you'd lose more if you were playing options. Okay, now our next level is 25.08, and it should say 25. Let me mark that. Okay. That is our next area of resistance, and you can see where it comes from, right? Right here. See this level of structure? And at the very beginning of the broadcast of the live stream, we talked about why this was created, right? Because this was limit up overnight. It could not go any higher, right? It wasn't allowed to. It could only go down. So it limited up, then it flushed down, came up, That's as high as it could go. Down, back up, down, back up, down, back up. Okay, and then finally it flushed away down to our trend line down here. Okay, but we know that that's going to be an area of resistance. 2508.25. So if it makes it up there, okay, we would look for it to be resistance. Currently, price is still struggling with the top of these two candles. Does that make sense? Of course it does, because look at that big red candle right there, right? So we know there was a bunch of sellers right here that said, hey, I find value in this area, and they pushed price down to here. Okay, so that's why you're seeing this. You're seeing this struggle right in here. It's all common sense. Okay, you don't have to make things more complicated than they need to be. All right, let's go back and look at Tesla. All right, and as you can see, overall trend down significantly. Gap down, gap down, gap down, gap down, okay, on the way down here, okay? Those of you who are in here regularly or in my room, you guys know that way back when it was up near the top, I said, watch out for a collapse, okay? Watch out for a collapse, and that's exactly what happened, okay? We weren't predicting anything. We were using probabilities. Here's where we're at today. Let me scroll in so you can see it better. All right, price opened up right here, flushed down. We were as low as 396. All right, I said I might have been talking to my wife, or I was maybe talking with another friend of mine, but I was saying just the other day, like literally a couple days ago, about how ironic would it be. Let me come back and I'll show you. Let's look at the 4 hour. Here's the 4 hour on Tesla. Okay, I said, how ironic would it be that in 2 months we ramped clear up to here, and in 2 months we come all the way back down into the 300s? And where are we at today? What did we say the low was today? Right here, 396. So we're already there. I was actually thinking it was going to take maybe a few more days. We already got back down into the 300s. Now that's not where we're at currently. We're at 433. Let me go back to the 30-minute. But I just said, you know, the irony of that. Okay, but doesn't it make sense? Let's look at the daily. Okay. All right. Doesn't it make sense when you see this type of move and 90-degree angle move up? Okay, you cannot sustain that in the market. All right, so we made money on this pullback, and then buyers, euphoric buyers, tried to push it up again. And the reason I say euphoric buyers, those of you in my community, you know, I'm always watching, and I have friends who are professional traders or run trading services and things like that. Even some of them, when this started happening again, what did I tell you? They were all like, oh, we're going to 1,000, we're going to 1,100, we're doing this, we're doing that. And I said, be very careful because of this, right? This wick. Let's get in a little closer. Okay, because of this wick right here. I said, be very careful. When they started seeing this action, they're like, yep, okay, all we did is take some profit here. We're going to just keep on blasting to the moon. And I told my folks, watch this. We got back up in here, and then what did we do? Let me scroll it back in. Then what did we do? See ya. All the way down here. Okay? All the way down here. This is really just over a month. Just from here to here. Okay, this was February 19th. And we're at March 17th. So not even a month. In 1 month, we've sold off almost all of these gains. Okay, but what made me nervous, what made me give caution to our folks, our community, was from here to here was basically a 90-degree move. Okay, those of you Those of you who follow me, you know that you're looking for moves that are 45-degree angles, 40 to 45, and your hack is if you take your screen, right, and you just go from corner to corner, that's 45 degrees. Those kind of moves are sustainable, right? Okay, a move like this right in here, this part of the move, that's fine, right? And if that trajectory just continues, you can go on that way for a long time, a long time. But then when you start to change to a 90-degree move like this, look out, because you're going to experience exhaustion at some point. Look how far away from the 20 simple moving average it got. And this is your short-term moving average. Okay, so then it had this drop. That's where we made some profit on the way down here. Then I just stopped trading it because I knew it was going to get volatile and I knew it's going to get crazy again. Here's where everybody else got excited, got back up into this wick where I was telling my folks, be careful. Okay, this is a dangerous area right here. And then once we got back up in there, you can see it's just totally sold off. And it doesn't even matter that, part of this pump along here was Elon making, this and that and new products and, whatever. Got new cars coming out and new factories going to be built. That's great. That's great. Okay. But they are heavily overvalued. They were heavily overextended. And this here was just a sucker's bet. That's all it was. Right? This was a sucker's bet that they were going to just blow right through here and keep going on up. They moved, okay, from down in here. This was 330s, 2 months. They moved up $600 in 2 months. That's not healthy, right? And then when it got up in here, this is the reason I call it a sucker's bet. Okay, these folks up here got trapped. Move down, continue to move down. Okay? Absolutely. I'm reading your comment there, high definition. Absolutely. Wicks are a very important part of the story. Okay, when I say I trade price action, okay, what do I mean? I mean two things. I trade the candlesticks and their patterns and their flow of activity. Okay, that's what I mean by that. All right, let's look at some other things. Walmart, we haven't looked at today. All right, Walmart. Look at these big moves on Walmart lately. Okay, big moves, and then they collapse. Big move. We'll see, does it collapse again? All right, so just pay attention. This red line up here, that's an area where I've told people you better watch out. If we get back up here, we'll probably sell off, okay, because of this wick right here. You notice we've only been up to test it once, and look how far we sold off. So if we get up here again, be very careful. Just warning you, be very careful. That's why I made the line red and not black like everything else. It's a warning sign because of this wick right here. We came down, came back up, we hit that same level, and then huge drop. Huge drop. So if we get back up here, just be careful. All right, let's look at Twitter. Okay, Twitter has been selling off. Okay, it's even down below, I think, where I've got levels. It is. I hadn't even went that low with the levels. I don't trade Twitter all that much. But if anybody does, okay, just taking a look at it, it's been selling off, as you can see. We got the 200 sloping down. We've got the 20 sloping down. Price is sort of just following the 20 down. Okay, so that's fairly healthy, all right? If we look, that's about a 45-degree angle. Okay, let's look at Shop. Okay, so Shop, this was one of our stocks to watch the other day. In our room, I'm talking about the simpletradinglife.com community. And the reason was because of this demand zone. All right. And I told my folks, if we got to this demand zone, look for a bounce. And what did we get? Okay, what did we get? Right here, big bounce. If I remember right, this was about 40 bucks, $40 bounce. Nice, right? All you had to do is just know, I mean, we already had these drawn in. This is what I do, okay, for my own personal trading and for the members of my community. I spend hours upon hours just going through charts, looking at price action, drawing in supply and demand zones, drawing in support and resistance levels, and you look for these opportunities. So what did I do? I set an alert right here, just like I have an alert. You see this alert right here? That will go off at some point in the future when price gets up there, and it will say, look to go short, right? Because this is supply, and I know it's fresh because I will discontinue it. Like here, I need to discontinue this. Give me 1 second. So if I come over here, I guess I have to scroll in more. Huh, I must have it really extended. Yeah, let's see if I can find where the end of it is. Now, I'll do it on a higher time frame. There we go. All right, so what I need to do, activate this, bring it back over here. Now I can go back down to the 30-minute. I'll show you how I do this. All right, here's our original bounce. That's what I really want to know, okay? That's what I really want to know. Now, we did catch a second bounce right here. See this? We didn't break all the way through. You can catch multiple bounces out of demand. It's just every time you hit it, it's less likely that you're going to get that bounce. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, hindsight being 2020, I'm going to bring this back over to here. Now I know the next time we come down here, it's very likely we're just going to go right through this area. But you notice the first time you get to a level, the first time, and I'd have to go back further to be able to show you where we left. Let me go to 4 hour. Okay. So it comes from way back over here. Comes from way back over here. This is the very first time we got there, and there's the bounce. All right. Back to the 30-minute. Again, first time we touched it, boom, big bounce. It was like $40 bounce. Came down. We didn't quite get to it. Come up here. Then we came down into it. Now we just caught another bounce, and I'll bet you it's pretty similar. Let's look. 307 to 344, almost 40 bucks. Almost 40 bucks. 307 to 344. Now, if it comes back down again, and what is our trend? See, this is what I want you guys to understand. Trend can be deceiving in terms of finding highly profitable trades. Our trend is down, right? Our trend is down, but where was the opportunity? The opportunity, the high probability opportunity was when we hit this demand zone to get a bounce, a significant bounce, which we did, right? Same thing. If we make it back up here for some reason, the highly probability opportunity is going to be a bounce back down, right? That's why you go ahead and take the time to go through your charts and identify these areas, right? This pays off. This pays off. Okay. Let's look at some other things. See what Roku's doing. Okay, Roku making a move up, right? Strong move to the upside. Never made it down. I didn't enter anything, right? Because I was looking for it. If it got down in here, then I would have looked to go long. I'm going to wait, right? Eventually, one of these days, this alert or this alert's going to go off, and I'll take a highly probable trade. I'll take a highly probable trade. Now you can catch some scalps. We talk about price action all the time, right? We talk about price action all the time. So you can catch some scalps based on price action. Yep, key supply and demand and support and resistance levels. That's what we, again, price action, support and resistance, supply and demand. That's what I trade, period. All right, okay, you know what we haven't looked at in a long time, when I say a long time, a few days, is CGC. Okay, weed stock, been moving down, let's squeeze it in. Okay, just keeps moving down, moving down, moving down. We've already talked about it on other sessions. Why are weed stocks suffering so much? It's because there's too many of them, right? There's too much supply, not enough demand. Okay, it drives the price down, and they can't charge enough to make any money. So what many thought was going to be a highly, highly lucrative industry has been ruined so far. Now, doesn't mean that they can't get it under control. If they limited the number of suppliers, then that would decrease supply and increase demand, and then price would go back up. But who knows? Are they going to do that? Okay, but that's CGC. Let's look at Facebook. Okay, moving down, just like the market has been. Okay, Facebook's just basically been following the market down, right? Here's where we are today, right? Opened up here, gapped up, flushed down into here, and then is really almost back up to being flat on the day. Okay, here's our advancers. We're up to 1784. Remember earlier in the day we were in the 900s. Okay, so the advancers keep climbing. So does that make sense that the market has been climbing? Absolutely, right? So we started the day in like the 900s, which is bearish. Okay, for those of you who don't know, if you use this advancer ticker here, 0 to 800 is extremely bearish. 800 to 1200 is bearish. 1200 to 1600 is neutral. 1600 to 2000 is bullish, and anything over 2000 is extremely bullish. But that number can be deceiving. If you get big gaps down or big gaps up at regular trading hours market open, then, okay, so let's just say you get a bunch of gaps down and they're big. Until those gaps are completely filled, they will not show as an advancer. But the price action, let's just say a stock like Shop dropped $40 and it had climbed $30 throughout the day, it still will not show up as an advancer because it never filled the gap, right? So that's how the number can be a little bit deceiving, right? And then this high volatility, most days what has happened is prices have either gapped up big or gapped down big. Now today, most things gapped up, but not huge. Okay, so that was a little bit easier to read this morning. Okay, here we are on ES, and look where we're at. We got right up to this resistance level I told you about, 2508.25. See this? If I get a little bit closer, you'll see it a little bit better. We got right up to it, and price is just doing this right now, okay, because it is resistance. All right. Okay, so we usually try to wrap this up sometime around 11:45 to noon. Does anybody have any questions, or do you have anything you'd like me to look at before we get off the live stream today? I'd be more than happy to look at anything. We haven't looked at oil. I'll take a quick look at it. And if anybody has anything you want me to look at. Okay, so oil. We have some supply up here that was created on this big drop. And then you'll notice what happened. We came down. Here was the first test. I haven't modified my lines yet. Here was the first test of demand. And what did we do? Boom. We bounced out of there. We looked at this the other day. Okay, if I remember right, this was over $2 move. 28.10 all the way up to 30.42. So that was $2.30 bounce out of demand. Anybody who knows anything about oil futures, one contract, every dollar of movement is $1,000 of profit or loss if it's going against you. So $2.30 bounce right there. If you had one contract, that was worth over $2,000 for you. Think it's important to know where your supply and demand levels are. Okay, we came back down almost. If you scroll in, I don't think we actually touched it. Almost there. Came back up to the support level. We dropped, and now we're back down into it. Again, can you get a second bounce? You can. Is it likely? We don't know, right? We don't know yet. We had a big bounce the first time. So I'm going to adjust this, edit. Okay, let me edit this the way that it should be. I'm going to bring it back over to here for now. Okay, and the reason I'm doing this again, whoops, sorry about that. The reason I'm doing that, okay, we had our first bounce here, which weakens it. You know, we almost got back there. Let me see, the low of this was 28.46, 28.43. Yeah, so we did touch it again here. We did touch it again here, and we did get a bounce back up. Now we're touching it for the third time. Every time you touch this, it's going to get weaker. So at some point, it's going to come back down through here, and it could fall lower. So we want to be very careful about that. Hi, Definition. Thank you for being here. Again, hope to see you in the future every Tuesday and Friday. Okay, so we'll be back again on Friday at 9:45 a.m. if you want to join us. Awesome. And for those of you who are still here, again, please make sure, give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, turn on the notifications bell. And if you want to learn more about us, go to simpletradinglife.com. You see it scrolling across your screen. And you can join either our free or our premium rooms. And we'd love to have you there. We keep everything really simple. And I try to teach you guys how to become consistently profitable in the easiest manner possible. Okay, so again, simpletradinglife.com. And I'm still not seeing anybody that has anything specific. We'll take one last look at the market, and then we'll jump off of here. So just like I thought, here's our resistance right up here. So far, we haven't been able to get through it. We've came up to it and bounced back down. But those of you who are in here, you got to see it in real time. Caught this nice $50 scalp from the top of this candle here up to the top of these two candles. Simple, easy, fairly safe, highly probable, and hopefully some of you took that and made some money. So thanks again. I really appreciate everybody out there. We'll see you again on Friday.